Dota 2 fans, and welcome to another edition of SLTV Pro Series Season 11. This is Qnatek versus Scary Faces, and hopefully you saw the bracket as I had it up there. This is the lower bracket, guys. Winner moves on, loser goes home. I am MoreRagePlz, your resident Canadian Dota 2 caster, joined by Mike Loris. We are SLTV. Mike, any preliminary thoughts on this matchup?
Man, was looking for something about these two teams. Qnatek got nothing, and Scary Faces, they had like the game that they played previously in the Pro Series, another game for 2014, and then a game for 2013 as their last like real recorded. So it's gonna, let's say, be hard to say how these two teams are gonna fare up against one another, just because there is not that much known about them. But yeah, hopefully regardless, we're going to have a good even game, and really, at a certain point, that's all you can hope for. I gotta say, though, I really like Qnatek's spelling and the pronunciation of the name. If we're saying it right, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it's reminiscent of Fnatic in a sense, so hopefully they can show us some flashy plays as well. Definitely slim pickings in terms of research. Scary Faces was able to eke by Central of Fear, or formerly known as the Adventures of 5 Idiots, 2-1. Qnatek was able to beat Donkey Dota 2-0, so they had a little bit more of a dominant victory in the Pro Series, but that doesn't really bode well for them or say much about this matchup. So hopefully we do see some good Dota. We will see a Jakiro pickup from Scary Faces in the first phase. So this is a hero that's been banned out quite a bit recently and hasn't been able to slip through, but has fallen out of favor slightly with the upcoming of heroes like Jug and the stability of heroes like Venge. But either way, Jakiro definitely a strong first pickup for Scary Faces.
Yeah, Jakiro can always do his job pretty much no matter what strategy you want. It's always going to help whatever strategy, even if you are going for a super late game strategy. Having all the enemy tier 2 towers down usually is pretty useful. So Jakiro is the first pick. I generally do like this hero. It's a very open hero in that you can go for anything, and Earshaker is a similar hero in that regard, though I feel like Earshaker is a little bit more niche. Zeus as the second pick, though, and Qnatek are definitely well on some specific game plan. Zeus is a hero that we also do see quite a bit more often nowadays, but as far as picking him up second, maybe they're just going to go for a massive amount of magic damage. Usually you want a little bit more of a reason to pick up Zeus, though.
Yeah, definitely so. Don't know if he's worth spending this early on a pick on him, but either way, he's going to be facing into a Lycan, and Lycan definitely, especially with a Medallion of Courage, able to chop him down in a couple of hits in that shape-shifted form. So he's also one of the most often BKB builders as well. After something like Necros and Vlad's, he may even rush the BKB after his Vlad, so that'll bode well for his chances up against the Zeus and the Shaker. Not much physical damage there or lockdown for this Lycan thus far. Echo Slam, very nice instant cast lockdown for him, but they're gonna have to follow that up hereafter in the draft, so do worry a bit for them with that early Zeus pickup, but we'll see how that pans out. He's also obviously has the potential to be very impactful in the game with the amount of burst damage he does offer. Jakiro, though, boding well as well for Scary Faces, is one of the more tanky intelligence heroes in the game, starting around 700 base HP, so that's not bad, especially if he'll be run out of a support role up against this Zeus.
Yeah, so for right now, Scary Faces should be taking care of heroes that would disrupt Lycan's movement, that would disrupt the pushing that Scary Faces so far look like they're planning on doing. Jakiro Lycan, that is already enough to take down pretty much any tower that you could possibly want, and it should be a pretty easy riding from there on out. Whether or not they go all in on the pushing still remains to be seen. I probably would think that they wouldn't, but I wouldn't be surprised to see someone like a Slark ban out right now. Good hero against Lycan, also a hero that could fight early on if needed. But for Qnatek, when you open up with a Zeus like this, you kind of like just think of Zeus like how much is he going to nuke people, and that's fine. But as far as laning is concerned, he's most likely going mid, where so far it looks like he's going to go up against Lycan, and that's not a terrible matchup for the Zeus, not by any stretch. If he gets amplified by any sort of help at all, whether it's an Elder Titan natural order or just any sort of rotation from an Earthshaker, then this Zeus can seriously just go off. And it doesn't matter if Zeus is a glass cannon, because the cannon is always going to be firing if that is the case. Hello?
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree there. I mean, I gotta agree with you also on the front that I don't think they'll go all in on the push just because they did pick this Lycan into an Earthshaker. So providing him with a few extra units to buff out that Echo Slam is probably not something that they're too willing to do. They also banned out the Clockwork there, so you do expect a little bit of split push for sure, but definitely not something that they're going to go put all their eggs into one basket, so to speak. So I do expect this to be more of a right-click oriented Lycan.
So we get the more carry-oriented Lycan, maybe going for a book, but that should be just about it. The Ember Spirit ban out is actually kind of makes sense. Scary Faces with Lycan Jakiro don't really have the most crowd control right now, and perhaps they're going to plan on heroes that won't offer them that crowd control in the future. I mean, if you have powerhouses like Lycan Jakiro who are fine just by slowly steamrolling through a lane, that you usually don't actually need to get that much crowd control, as the enemies will usually come to you and you don't have to chase down the enemies. It's always going to be hard to get rid of all the heroes that have mobility, though. You can't get rid of all the blinkers and all of the mobility heroes, so Scary Faces should look to pick something like that up in their second pick phase, but right now it just seems like Venge is a pretty good pick for either side. I'm actually surprised that she's still in the pool. Yeah,
it definitely doesn't slip through this often, but certainly should be picked up by either side. Isn't bad versus the Lycan before he gets a BKB up. The swap's still there, but with the 650 MS, excuse me. Lycan pretty survivable through that. They do have a couple ways to deal with him. The Venge is pretty good versus the Jakiro in the split push as well. So also does offer the ability to Rosh a little quicker, and perhaps just as a pick deny needs to be picked up from Qnatek here. If they give that over to Scary Faces with a Medallion and the Wave of Terror plus the Venge aura, they'll be able to melt Roshan fairly quickly as they please, so they should be able to sneak a few without any legitimate contest from Qnatek. So we'll see if Qnatek opts to pick that up here. They still will leave a little bit of variability in their draft. Even if they do go for a support here, they can run either the Earthshaker or the Zeus in a core role. We saw a core Earthshaker yesterday, was pretty darn good, but they ended up losing the game either way, so I'm not sure if that's something that you want to choose up against a Lycan who scales a lot better than an Earthshaker does. Either way, Qnatek gonna ban out the Nature's Prophet here, so they are removing this push-oriented strategy. They've taken out the Omni, the Death Prophet, and the Nature's Prophet at this point, so they certainly are worried about structural damage, and they're gonna pick up something we haven't seen all too often in the CM, so more burst damage for them, a little bit of slow roam, but a pretty good roaming combo in the ES CM. Also gonna give over that Arcane Aura to the Zeus, allow him to spam out his ability a little more frequently.
Usually you don't really want to be a Crystal Maiden when you see a Lycan on the other end, but there is a lot of power right now for the Qnatek side. It looks like they're just going to go for a whole bunch of heroes and then try to abuse the Crystal Maiden's aura. It's always a little bit questionable when you pick up a hero and it's just like one skill that's going to tie everything together, but it's certainly possible. You grab something like a Timbersaw perhaps down the line for Qnatek, or any other caster who could benefit from the Arcane Aura, so that might be the game plan for Qnatek. Just lock down the lanes just by pure spam, and that is sometimes going to work depending on what Scary Faces pick up with their next couple of picks. But CM and Earthshaker, these two heroes are okay at dealing with Lycan, especially the Fissure. That's a great tool, but you could definitely do a lot better. And as far as counter pushing, they have a lot of nuking damage right now, but if you're going to actually have chip damage applied by Jakiro, you need a little bit more than just nuking damage. You need some way of starting the fight, and right now Qnatek don't have that. And until Shaker gets his Blink Dagger, which doesn't look like it's going to be for a pretty long time, they were not going to have it. Scary Faces, they're going to go a little bit deeper into the pushing, though not with units, and I think that's good against the Shaker. Juggernaut is going to be the pick. Another hero that is perfectly fine going up against CM, Zeus, and Shaker.
Yeah, he's got the magic immunity offered by the Blade Fury. Very nice for him. Also, the Healing Ward, as you mentioned, going to help with the stability in lane to allow them to continue to push. And definitely something you touched on is that they can slow siege with this Jakiro. And at this moment, there is a lack of initiation for Qnatek. I mean, you will find the Blink Dagger eventually for this Earthshaker, but if he's not running in a farming role, could be a while from now. And they will look to rectify those issues almost immediately with the Void pickup here. So that's something definitely nice synergy with the Shaker, Zeus, and the Maiden. All of them have spells at a decent range that they can contribute from outside the Chronosphere, and Faceless Void is going to be that one. Going to be able to jump forward and lock down both the Lycan and the Juggernaut, who are pretty elusive for farming role heroes. And Jakiro could be in the core role here. They will pick up the Venge as an immediate response to Void, so perhaps a little bit of a slip up, as you mentioned, from Qnatek. They're leaving a hero as strong as the Venge in the pool, especially considered especially strong as a counter to Void here.
Man, Venge is a great counter to Void. If your Juggernaut gets caught with the Chronosphere, you swap him out and your team is usually going to be fine from there on out. She's a great hero with the Lycan and Jakiro as far as that chip damage is concerned, as far as killing off Roshan is concerned.
Right.
Vengeful Spirit is just the perfect pickup here for Scary Faces. And, well, Qnatek, they obviously couldn't span everything out, but I don't really know if there was much of a chance that Scary Faces would have gone for the Nature's Prophet pick. There was an okay chance, I suppose, since they have gone for the Juggernaut. Nature's Prophet, Juggernaut, more pushing, maybe they would have gone for it, but Vengeful Spirit is just the worst hero that you want to give over to the Scary Faces side, and they could go for a little bit of initiation themselves, Scary Face, if they really want to. Someone like a Bat Rider, shove the Jakiro over to a support role. It might make the lanes a little bit awkward, but if they do want to do something like that, if they get some initiation on the board, then Qnatek are going to be mostly on the defensive for the entirety of the game, and these are not great defensive heroes. I mean, they could sometimes run away, but Zeus is very slow. Crystal Maiden is, oh my god, don't even get me started.
Glacially slow.
Shaker has disengaged Fishers, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I really like how focused and how potentially aggressive, but not necessarily aggressive, Scary Face's draft is.
Yeah, they do have a lot of avenues. I mean, they can go with the slow siege. They can retreat into Roshan, as you mentioned. They can go with heavy push as well. Depending how they run this, they will grab up a little burst damage here for Qnatek in the Timbersaw. So the pure damage will be nice up against the Juggernaut, who does have that Blade Fury, as well as probably the Lycan's BKB at some point. Not sure if the Timbersaw is quite enough to push this Qnatek lineup over the edge here. As you mentioned, Venge, really the Swiss Army knife of support heroes for Scary Faces here. Offers the disable, the extra push, the extra damage, the positioning ability with the swap, and she's going to be very crucial to how well Scary Faces does in this one. If she's able to position herself outside the chrono most often, I really don't see things faring well for Qnatek here. But Timbersaw, definitely one of those heroes that can absolutely wreck an entire lineup, can look to make kills 1 versus 2 in the off lane. So if he finds some farm here, he could be a force to be reckoned with. But they will pick up a Quap for Quista, and Quap very good against Timber in the sense that she'll often build into an Orchid, and that could be certainly scary for T-Bon's Timbersaw here.
So Qnatek grabbing the Timbersaw is going to have another hero to synergize with the Crystal Maiden. It's a hero that needs to fight early. There are Faceless Void games where Faceless Void is, his goal is kind of to fight early, but there are more often games with Faceless Void where he is just going to try to get to the late game and try to dominate it then. Even if he gets a hell of a lot of space, man, he's up against a Lycan, Juggernaut, even Queen of Pain Burst is something to be scared of. Faceless Void's late game is by no means guaranteed in this game, and it's really up to the other 4 heroes of Qnatek to hold down the fort. Timbersaw and Zeus, their burst damage together is insane, and it is possible for those 2 heroes to just go off before Scary Faces actually group up and try to go for those tower pushes. But if that doesn't happen, if it's Scary Faces to take the early game with, you know, a 2-kill advantage, a 1-kill advantage, then Qnatek are going to be in a position where they just can't fight as a decent-sized team, and it just will be Scary Faces with pretty much the freedom to move around wherever they want to go and do whatever they want to do. And as we already said, tower pushing and Roshan killing is very easy for them.
Yeah, definitely. So they have so many options. It looks like they will put the Juggernaut into a support role. Shadow A is the offlane player for Scary Faces, so he probably will go towards that offlane with the Jakiro, but it looks like they will be running what can transition into a quad core eventually. The effective DPS of the Juggernaut, even with 1 level in Blade Dance after the buff, is pretty darn good with that buff to his agility and his attack speed fairly recently. So things looking to bode well for Scary Faces here. Lots of variability in their possibility with their strats, as you mentioned. Looks like a lot's going to be on the back of what you call definitely the space creators here for the Void and T-Bon's Timbersaw, as well as the Zeus and the roaming support duo of the CM Earthshaker. So looks like Scary Faces need not 1 but 3 minutes, and no one quite ready
right now.
Yeah, so
that was the shortest 3 minutes I've ever experienced in my life.
ESPN fastest 3 minutes here, guys. We'll introduce the teams regardless. On the Radiant side, I'll take Qnatek, T-Bon playing on the off lane, presumably Timbersaw, Darkness of an Abyss on the Void. Gedrox gonna be playing on the Crystal Maiden. I'm XO on the Earthshaker, and I'm gonna call him ignorantly so Axnar playing on the Zeus.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe we'll get some sort of translation there, but I have no idea, man. It's not English, therefore I have no idea. But on
Language
the
is hard.
Scary Face's side, State 21 is going to be on the Lycan with Quista on the Queen of Pain. Shadowy Razor is going to be playing the Jakiro. Absa is on the Venge, currently invisible on my screener, kind of like pseudo-visible. And Eknart is going to be playing the Juggernaut. So this game is mostly going to fall to the 4 heroes of Qnatek to protect the Face's Void, and we'll try to get him a little bit of space. It's a matter of time, really, before Scary Faces decide to group up and just go off. If they, again, are amplified by any sort of advantage, whatever it may be, then that pain is going to fall a lot harder, a lot faster onto the Qnatek side. And quite frankly, Zeus and Timbersaw, I do tend to underestimate how much burst damage they could actually put out. There is just so many threats on the Scary Faces side that as much damage as they're able to put out, they're going to need to put out just a little bit more every single time.
Yeah, we will have another pause, unfortunately. Quista looking pretty sweet on this Queen of Pain. Don't know if I've ever seen those wings in game before. Either way, yeah, Bash is apparently being DDoSed. State 21 is the mid lane player for Scary Faces, so he probably will take this Lycan towards the mid lane. Lycan definitely admirable mid laner. Should do okay versus the Zeus. Not sure if he's picked up a magic stick. It doesn't seem like he has quite yet, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares in that matchup. But either way, it looks like it could potentially be an aggressive tri-lane centered around the Queen of Pain. Perhaps she's solo in the off lane. I'm not the biggest fan of the solo off lane Queen of Pain. I feel like she needs a lot more farm than that lane setup offers for her, but we'll see either way how Scary Faces does throughout this early game.
Yeah, I feel like generally for Queen of Pains, well, that's what usually why we see her go towards solo mid, is because she does need so much in order to really get going. She does have a magic stick herself, so maybe even though she's heading down towards the bottom lane right now, it's not necessarily going to be the case. Maybe expecting that Zeus matchup, but yeah, for Queen of Pain, you really need to get that experience going. A Queen of Pain that's under-leveled is just the saddest hero in the world. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Scary Faces switch up the Juggernaut, Venge, Jakiro, and throw them towards the bottom lane. That could be fairly aggressive, although maybe they just want to completely dodge what Qnatek have. Qnatek's tri-lane of what is assumed to be Void, CM, Earthshaker played purely defensively is not something that you should really be too scared of. You could certainly bring the fight to them a lot more than they could bring the fight to you, and maybe that's not going to be the case after all, so the lanes are going to be juggled a little bit, but for right now, looks like Timbersaw is going to be heading down towards bottom, and we have 3 heroes from Qnatek who are looking to go up towards the top lane for now, else it is just a very heavily roaming Earthshaker, which is something also we've seen quite a bit, but either way, it's going to be not the strongest of lanes for Qnatek, but with the heroes that they have, there's no way that they can get a super strong laning phase, and this is definitely not what they want to see, or not see. Smoke up from all of Scary Faces, and they're not going to run into the Timbersaw, which is probably good for the Dire. They're going to run into 4 other heroes. Ooh, this is going to be a bloodbath. Juggernaut leading the charge. He has the most ridiculous level 1 skill in the Blade Fury, and they're up on the high ground. Oh no, this is terrible for Qnatek, but only if Scary Faces approaches correctly. The fissure angle is really good right now, but the magic missile comes out first. Nice Nova onto all 4 heroes. The spin is going to commence onto the Earthshaker, dropping very low with a Shadow Strike as well. Quista dropping a little bit faster perhaps, but it's going to be a Shaker Fall first, and now they're going to go on to get Jog's Howl damage, providing them so much additional DPS, and that's going to be 2 kills. Now going towards Scary Faces, they're going to chase forward for more. Zeus running off to the left, Void running off to the right, and it's going to be another Ice Path set up on the Zeus, but they're currently out of mana. A little more right click onto the Zeus, who's also out of mana actually. Tibon's going to get much damage he can onto the Scary Faces side, but after all said and done, Juggernaut's Blade Fury is just way too good at level 1, and everyone else from Scary Faces is able to survive a 2-0 advantage, and that is pretty much exactly what I described before, the worst start possible for Qnatek, especially against the heroes that they're up against.
Yeah, and just to add salt to the wound, oh, State 21 going to get blocked out with the fissures, so IMXO going to have to use quite a bit of his mana here, eat into that last clarity, but he will pick up the bounty rune. And it looks like Quista in the mid lane, as you mentioned, has picked up that magic stick, and that engagement gives him 5 charges as he walks into lane. Healing ward also going to be provided as support from behind from Eknart, as he picked up his level 2 just after finding that first blood.
Alright, so it is going to be the Queen of Pain going mid, which of course makes the magic stick pick up a lot more sensible. Queen of the Jakiro going up against the Timbersaw down towards bottom is going to be a fairly even lane there. Kill potential certainly there for the Timber, but it's going to be difficult for him to actually connect on that because Jakiro will always have the chip advantage with Liquid Fire, which you don't really have to attack the Timbersaw too often to get, so reactive armor is going to be an issue, but not really a huge one. is up towards top where we're going to see the most action, with the Earthshaker starting out with no mana. That's certainly not a great start for Qnatek, and the CM still doesn't have her level 3, so no aura there. This top lane for Qnatek is flimsy at best, and with a support Juggernaut now, I mean, it doesn't really matter what role Juggernaut's in. If he has Blade Fury, he's going to do a lot of damage. Maybe not to the Faceless Void, but everyone else on Qnatek really have to give this Juggernaut a wide berth, or hold mana for a fissure. Otherwise, then a Magic Missile into a spin into right clicks from Lycan, that's going to get a kill almost every single time.
Yeah, definitely so. I gotta agree on the bottom lane matchup. I mean, T-Bon's gonna have to build at least 1 point into this reactive armor here, and with the less length on the chain, he won't have too much kill potential if he's able to dodge an ice path and get off a nice chain. Liquid Fire slowing his attack is not too detrimental to the damage toolkit of a Timber. He uses more of his spells to find some damage, so perhaps he can find a kill on Shadow A if he missteps, but should be fairly even other than that. Not too much action in this top lane quite yet. Darkness soaking up some experience as Qnatek uses the wave to farm up the large camp here, but he will be zoned out by a bash, and just some more harass in the bottom lane. Mid lane, fairly even at this point. 12-2 to the 11-2 Zeus to the Queen of Pain, respectively. And top lane, we may see a wrap around here, but IMXO going to scout things out, and Qnatek and the bash going to back off for the moment.
Queen of Pain currently working with her bottle, where Zeus doesn't really have his on his person just yet, so Quap is in a slightly better position for a couple more seconds right now, and she's not really going to make that much use of it. The timing window is narrow, if there is a timing window at all, but he's going to jump actually right into the Zeus just to try to get that Shadow Strike harassment, and gets a bolt to the face in response. Suddenly not so worth it for Qwista, but Shadow Striking the Zeus is, or anyone with the bottle, is incredibly annoying, first of all, but also it's fairly effective. If you're able to trade evenly, then the damage is going to stick on the enemies for generally longer, just because they can't heal through that poison damage. So Qwista has to be really careful about how he approaches this lane, just make sure that he doesn't get a little bit too close to the Zeus a little bit too often with half HP. That's never really where you want to be, but Queen of Pain should be fine, especially with those magic sticks. But I'm actually kind of surprised in the top lane that Scary Faces haven't made a real attempt at one of these supports' lives. Shaker does have boots first, as does the CM, but still, if they land a single disable, then it's all over for them.
Yeah, definitely. So they've allowed IMXO to recover in terms of mana as well. So he will have the defensive capabilities of the Fissure to perhaps block out the Blade Fury. Mid lane, we'll see a Shadow Strike and a Stream of Pain go out onto Axnar, but he'll turn for a Lightning Bolt. He should be just fine. He's got his supports rotating in. Qnatek going to pick up the Bounty Rune under the cover of Spin. Fissure is going to be there to block his pathing. But he isn't able to finish off Axnar, who will deny himself to the Ancients. It looks like IMXO will be the sacrificial lamb, though. Shadow Strike slowing him down. And there is some support inbound. No, actually, the Crystal Maiden has been zoned out by a bash. He takes a magic missile to the face. Gedrox underneath the tower is going to be dove here by a bash. He's going to be able to fog him and frostbite him. A bash going to go down here, feeding his life over for no apparent reason. And the Wolves, though, will pick off the Crystal Maiden in the river. So still a win. Jump forward, Shadow Strike from Qwista. Howl is popped as well. A couple more right clicks from this Queen of Pain. Blink down for 8 seconds. So Darkness trying to fog him through the tree line will be successful in doing so. Qwista going to have to back off with about half HP. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Shadow A has been aggressed onto by T-Bon and IMXO. He's going to hit an Ice Path on 2, but it's only going to delay the inevitable. And Chain is there to finish off the Jakiro. Overall, 5-for-2 is your score. Slight win across the map for Scary Faces.
And Queen of Pain's only one level of Blink is really hurting her right now. It is, extremely standard to see a Queen of Pain only with 1 point of Blink, but if she got one more right click on Faceless Void, would have been a kill. He, I believe, got a lucky backtrack twice there, and
yeah, I
don't know if that ended up saving his life, but it definitely helped out. So Faceless Void with 1 value point in backtrack, 10% is sometimes all you need to survive, and escaping from that situation. But after all said and done, still it's Scary Faces to roam around a lot with this Queen of Pain, and that's what you would really expect. They're going to try to go for Zeus one more time, but walking into a Bolt Fissure, that's a little bit too much. They did not expect the Earthshaker to be there, and even if the Earthshaker wasn't there, I'd want to say that Zeus had enough anyway, just because he's packing Thunder God's Wrath at this point. So, I mean, the Magic Missile is nice and everything, but Queen of Pain needs a little bit more time to do the damage with 2 points in Shadow Strike. So that was a little bit bold from the Scary Faces side, and that's going to give a little bit more edge to the Zeus. But as it stands right now, Scary Faces with a 2-kill advantage, but CS is going pretty well so far for the Qnatek side. But the scary thing is for Scary Faces that or for Qnatek rather, is that the pushing from Scary Faces hasn't even begun yet. This is just all random skirmishing.
Yeah, you definitely look for that 7 to 10 minute mark where the Jakiro picks up level 7 in a support role to start pushing, but him being in a core role, he's already picked up that coveted level 7. He's got 4 levels in the liquid fire. If they leave him unchecked in his bot lane, he will take their safe lane tier 1, and they will TP T-Bond down. He's got the Chakram at the ready as well, about to find his level 7, so is pretty potent at this point. Gonna hit his mid-game stride on the Timber. Hasn't been contested too much in terms of farm. He's got 32 CS, top of the board to the 26 of Shadow A's Jakiro. So things looking good for both of those heroes, but definitely, yeah, as you mentioned, the Jakiro gonna start to become very influential in terms of map control and pushing power.
And it's not going to be at a point yet where he feels inclined to leave, just because he is still getting free chip damage on the tower. Doesn't matter where you get the chip damage, as long as you're getting it in slowly but surely, you're going to get that tower. So Jakiro, he's really demanding more than just the Timbersaw right now to come down here and try to stop him. Shaker, when he did come down, I mean, that led to a kill on the Jakiro, but you don't really want to invest 2 heroes all the time dealing with the Jakiro, otherwise he'll just leave and push somewhere else. So Tibon's going to need a little bit more help if he actually wants to stop this pushing, and I don't actually know if it's possible for him to do so. Arcane Aura is great on the Timbersaw, and it is going to be 2 points in that aura, but still, the Timbersaw, even with infinite mana, is not able to zone out the Jakiro 100% of the time, because all you need is one right click with the Jakiro. It's a bad situation down in the bottom lane. Mid lane's going decently for Qnatek, but Void is actually getting a lot more farm than I really expected up against what Scary Faces have. So I think Qnatek, they're not doing too terribly at this point in the game. They just have to make sure to not crumble before the pushing. They're going to try to go for top lane play, but it's actually going to be a Bash to put himself in a little bit more trouble as he walks in for a Magic Missile for some reason. I don't really know what the point was there. Eknar's going to turn around for a Healing Ward, giving Bash a little bit more effective HP, but it will very quickly be dealt with. Wrap around for the Juggernaut. He's looking for a spin. Thunder God's Wrath to strike down the bench. Now the spin onto 3 heroes with a Shapeshift already there from State. Going to get Frostbitten up. Giedrox should die to the spin with one more right click. He will. State going to get bashed up though. Magic Stick Bottle will keep him alive from the Faceless Void. And meantime, Zeus is going to kill off the Jakiro because that's also happening. State thinking about turning around for the Earthshaker. Wolf body blocking. Not going to really be there just because he runs out of that movement speed. Now they're going to jump in with the Shadow Strike, however. Trying to go for that Shaker. Sonic Wave will connect. And with the Wolf's poison damage, that should be enough. State going to get Frostbitten one more time in the tower. No bashing just yet from Darkness. He's getting right click down by Quista. Finally a bash to get the kill. Now he grabs a Chronosphere. Can he drop it in time? He will, and he's going to turn around for Quista. Will he have enough damage to kill off the Squid Pate? It's going to be very close. They're going to fight the Void, but he'll backtrack one more time. He'll survive to get the kill, but he will go down in the end. I think that was an even trade overall, although I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it was a 4 for 3 in favor of Qnatek. Man, that Faceless Void, 10% backtrack seems more like 30.
Yeah, he actually backtracked the Magic Missile damage before then. He definitely would have been down before even having the Chrono up. Was able to get that off and bring down Quista as well. So very fortunate bit of RNG there for the Void. Either way, he'll be 2-1-2 now, picking up that Morbid Mask, well on his way to his Mask of Madness. He's got full treads as well. He's sitting atop the net worth chart, followed by both T-Bon and Axnar on the Timber and Zeus, and things looking very good in his early game for Qnatek with that Arcane Aura, able to spam out in these long drawn out engagements. State's retreated to the jungle with the Lycan, and his farm is mediocre to say the least. 36 CS to the 41 of the Void and the 50 of the Timbersaw. He hasn't picked up a full Vlad's quite yet, and for some reason Qnatek has been able to zone them out of this aggressive tri lane without even killing anyone early on.
And that's I guess what Sun Tzu says is the best way to fight, right? Or something like that. I don't know. I haven't read The Art of War, but it sounds like something he would say. Zeus, in the meantime, is going to grab a Haste Rune, and Zeus with the Haste Rune is incredibly dangerous, especially if you are the Jakiro right now, though. Zeus doesn't really want to walk into a Macro Pyre, dropping pretty low, but it's up towards the top where they're going to go for the Earthshaker spin. After the Magic Missile, he's a little bit too fast for the Juggernaut, and Eknart might die if he gets this kill, and he will. Now has an Omni Slash. Giedrox, though, there with the Vision with the Nova. Eknart, Healing Ward, and the Urn. It's not going to be enough, and Giedrox has just enough nuke damage to kill him off. Even with only 1 point Frostbite, 1 point Crystal Nova, he barely gets it done. It's going to be on the bottom lane now where they're going to try to go for Quista, and that's not going to work either. Timbersaw not with enough staying power there, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. I guess support for support. Juggernaut, though, has so much more potential than what he is actually doing right now, just because, I mean, actually he is 5-1. I thought Juggernaut died more often, so, okay, never mind. It just feels like Juggernaut's dying, even though he's not.
Yeah, it just hasn't been influential enough. They haven't really been able to set anything up for him. Abash has really been on the back foot on the Vengeful Spirit. He's been out of position quite a few times. He got caught out in the jungle here where Qnatek tried to drop the ward for him, and Qnatek not really able to do much off the back of that. But yeah, definitely going well for the Juggernaut, but with a one shining spot as the top 3 on the net worth, and in terms of the top on the 3 in terms of KDA under the Juggernaut are owned by Qnatek. Top lane, we'll see TPs in here from Abash, but in the bottom, they will drop a Chrono and the Chakram on Shadowway. That's the first use of the Mask of Madness, and definitely a successful one. They bring down the Jakiro, who was doing very well in terms of at least levels, sitting on level 8, so a nice little bounty of 420 experience going both the way of the Timber and the Void.
And the lack of CS for Scary Faces is really showing to hurt them right now. Vlad's just now being picked up on the Vlads, and 12 minutes in, you want to have his Vlads for a couple minutes by now, but just picking it up is incredibly late, and that means the pushing is going to be that much more delayed. This is going to run to Geedrox. This might be the death of the CM. No, Queen of Pain doesn't want to blake up to the high ground blindly, and she will back off in the other direction right now, but for Qnatek, I mean, they're just still holding on to all their lanes because Scary Faces don't really have the pushing power necessary to get these kills unless they're going to get a swap back onto the Earthshaker. There's an Omni Slash waiting for him, and he will go down. Geedrox is in the area, but he should not be there. It's a free kill on the Earthshaker up towards top. The Juggernaut Vengeful Spirit dual lane now is actually pretty legit, so whoever goes up to this top lane has to be very careful. It's noteworthy that Qnatek are going to give Earthshaker, or try to give him a little more farm, but it's not exactly helping him at the moment.
Yet no vision for either team by the Roche Pit, so State 21 can make that his home fairly soon. However, they're probably not privy to the fact there is no vision on the Radiant side, as they don't have any sentries there, so he will retreat to the jungle for the time being. Bracer is going to be ferried out to Abash. He'll get a little bit more tanky in this lane and look to find some levels. He has picked up his level 1 swap and has opted to max out the magic missile, so generally we see the Wave of Terror maxed out, as the stun doesn't scale particularly well in terms of duration, but either way, Qnatek going to find some farm in the jungle, but Darkness of an Abyss doing very well on the Void. He's got his full Mask of Madness as well as 1,000 gold. He's going to scout out the Roche Pit momentarily, and he will rotate back out towards that mid lane. Still 9 seconds left on this Chrono, so maybe he looks to find something off this cooldown. He will farm up the Ancients quickly, as top lane they do go in onto Geedrox. There's the Fissure to block them out, but he does have the Blade Fury channeling from Qnatek. He'll even waste the ultimate, but the Lightning Bolt and the Thunder God's Wrath comes out onto Abash. They'll find a return kill. Support for support trade going slightly probably towards Scary Face's favor, perhaps the Maiden worth a little bit more, as the early game has been going well for Qnatek, but roughly even trade. They do get that kill out onto the Zeus, and Scary Face is finding a little bit more in terms of golden experience, but pretty much negligible.
Haste! And not really going to make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. It's still kind of weird to see Qnatek with all their towers up against a Juggernaut, a Lycan, and a Jakiro. By now they should be down all their tier 1 towers, or most of their tier 1 towers, but I mean, mid lane is very healthy right now. Top lane's at half HP, bottom lane's a little bit more banged up, but Jakiro pushing hasn't really gotten there just yet, and if you're not actually pushing with the early game Jakiro, then you're wasting so much potential. It looks like Scary Face is looking to change that now, as they are going to smoke up, maybe make a play for Roshan, but Qnatek have so far been really diligent about making sure that they have eyes on Roshan at all times. I don't think it's going to be a free Roshan for Scary Faces, as Qnatek in this area, they're capable of fighting. It's going to be dangerous, it's going to be hard, but this can certainly do it, especially if Roshan starts things off for them. The healing ward is down, and it's going to be Geedrox to walk in first. Darkness of this going to take a stun first. Then it's going to be an Omni Slash with an Ice Path. He's going to time walk out, can't get the Chronosphere on him. And now it's going to be an assassination of the Crystal Maiden, as they use the Vengeful Spirit in response. Lightning Bolt's going to drop Jakiro, but a nice Sonic Wave is going to fly through T-Bon. Can it be enough? No, not enough with the Fissure. That's a very nice stun from the Shaker, blocking off everyone else. Qnatek make a 1-for-2 trade. Queen of Pain actually jumping for a little bit more, but up against Zeus, don't really know if she wants to take that fight. Scary Face is right back into the Roshan pit, but they have no more healing wards. They have Vlad still, and they can do it, but Qnatek are healthy enough to test this. Look at Thunder God's Wrath. Or Shaker thinking about going in there with the Fissure and an Echo Slam, but he's dropping very low just to the Wolves and an Urn. He has the capability of turning around for a Fissure, and he will use it onto Qnatek, but that won't do much. Earthshaker is forced all the way back, and he's going to survive, albeit barely. One more hit from the Wolves. There's a jump in for the Faceless Void. Chronosphere going to catch State, but that's not a target you really want to go for as Void. So Chronosphere down the tubes now. Scary Faces still with that 1 kill advantage, still with the ability to go into Roshan, and now down a Chronosphere. I don't know if Qnatek would want to contest unless the Bash walks right into a Zeus. Ice Path going to follow up. The right click damage is going to be there. Zeus is going to fall. They're going to look for more, but Faces Void a little bit too slippery, especially with Earthshaker coming in with the Fissure. It's going to be a Bash to get time walked upon, taking a lot of damage with a nice 2-man stun from the Shaker once again. Venge is going to drop. They're going to try to take down Darkness, but it's all of a sudden only Shadow Razor in this area by himself. Where's the rest of Scary Faces? Here comes the Queen of Pain as well as Eknark. Qnatek going to aggro Roshan. He's going to take Price, but he's not actually stunned out of his ultimate. He's doing a lot of damage. He'll kill off the Juggernaut as well. Here comes Qwista for the cleanup, however, killing off a whole bunch. It's going to be everyone dead, minus 2 heroes on either side. Yeah, okay. I thought Juggernaut would have had more than enough damage to actually kill off that Crystal Maiden with the maxed out spin, but Crystal Maiden living for just a little while longer and channeling that freezing field, destroying Scary Faces, and after all is said and done, it's still pretty much the same game state, except with kills traded.
Yeah, just a wash. The Queen of Pain does find a double kill, and the Crystal Maiden was the equivalent to find the double kill on Qnatek. So a little bit of a better farm distribution for Scary Faces, but either way, pretty much an even trade as you mentioned, and they do stave off the Roshan attempt despite whiffing that Chrono there. So if they get a meaningful Chrono, it probably goes 10 times better for Qnatek. Either way, Qwista finding a couple of kills. Interestingly enough, wants to build into a first item BKB. Don't know if this is the choice for Qwista, but perhaps it will allow her to stand in these fights a little bit more up against the Zeus, Earthshaker, and Crystal Maiden. Even if she gets Chrono though, however, even with the BKB up, probably will fall. Thunder God's Wrath stop casted there, looking to scout things out. Qwista will blink to the low ground. Shapeshift is going to be channeled up. Ice Path will whiff on T-Von. He'll be able to chain, but he gets stunned by the Omni Slash. As he's chaining there, he should go down here. They're even going to commit the Sonic Wave to bring him down, and everyone else going to have to turn tail and run. They're going to look to chase down Darkness. He'll find a Bash on his own, but there's the Ice Path, nicely placed by Shadowway. He'll be able to time walk away. He's taking down to the Liquid Fire. Blink for it from Qwista. Looking to man up is Darkness, though. 1v1 in the Chrono. He's going to get some life back from this lifesteal. Mask of Madness popped there. He'll bring down the Queen of Pain. No one else going to commit to this Void. The Wolves will not be there in time. He's walking too fast with Mask of Madness. On the low ground, they bring down the Earthshaker. Time walk, Lightning Bolt. They'll bring down Shadowway, though. 4 for 1. Going the way of Qnatek, and they're just able to kite out, well, 4 for 2 with the early death to the Timbersaw, and they're just able to kite out the entire lineup of Scary Faces. This may even be a free Roche for them. TPs are inbound from Abash, but T-Bon in the bot lane here, and Abash going to scout things out with a Wave of Terror, but doesn't look like they will be able to contest this anytime soon. Wolves will go in to scout perhaps for a swap, but they're going to be a little too late. And the Aegis going to be picked up by Darkness. This is a huge win for Qnatek against a lineup in Scary Faces that should be taking Roche more often than not.
Man, first of all, Omni Slash canceling Timber Chain, that was freaking sweet, man. But unfortunately, after that, they still didn't quite kill off the Timbersaw, so they had to use a Sonic Wave. I don't know if that was completely necessary, but with the Timbersaw, you generally don't want to be taking many chances. They're going to run to T-Bon, first of all, and they're going to very quickly burst down Qwista. He has to disengage now and Jake's entire bottle. Fissure, once again, saving the day, and State can take an Echo Slam. Enchant Totem, he's going to drop Bash, also is going to fall. Man, these are not the fights that you would expect Scary Faces to run into, but man, even with the 4 heroes minus Faceless Void, these heroes are doing work. The Earthshaker's Fissures have been impeccable all game. Giedrox with his ultimate doing some serious damage, and because the Faceless Void has had such a great early start, he's actually a lot more relevant than what the plan was supposed to be. This Faceless Void was not supposed to be a threat right now for Scary Faces, but he is such a threat just because he man-fought the Queen of Pain, was able to escape the Lycan thereafter. He's doing so much damage, and he's so difficult to kill that Scary Faces, they are really just at the mercy of Qnatek's lineup right now. And with Scary Faces heroes, these are pretty much all heroes that are designed to snowball in one way, shape, or form. It's, you know, Jakiro usually with towers, Queen of Pain with kills, Lycan kind of a mixed thing there. But they're not getting anything going, and Qnatek, they're holding strong onto their advantage right now. That's not to say that Scary Faces don't have a chance late game. Their late game is still pretty terrifying, but they still have yet to take a single tier 1 tower. That's just unheard of in a Jakiro Juggernaut Lycan game.
Yeah, IMXO with an Invis Rune in the mid, scouting things out. He's going to find Shadowway behind the tower here. He doesn't have an Echo Slam, so no instant disable for him. But jump forward from Darkness. He's looking for a Chrono. He's not going to find it, as they do Delta split between the Venge and the Jakiro here. They will find a tier 1 off this, however. Wave of Terror goes out. It's going to hit through 2 heroes. But it doesn't look like they're too willing to defend this, and probably the wise decision being as the Earthshaker is ready for an initiation from the backlines. But yeah, as you mentioned, T-Bon even if he's not dying on this Timber Saw, he's creating so much space and allowing the Zeus and the Crystal Maiden to get their toolkits out over and over again, as he is so survivable with that Timber Chain. And I gotta go back to this first item, BKB on Qwista. He's got 2,600 gold invested in that BKB plus 1,100 in his pockets, and probably could have had an Orchid up around this time as well for the Timber Saw, but we'll see how they fare. Either way, taking a look at the metrics, already 7,500 net worth and almost a 10k experience lead in the favor of Qnatek, looking very good in this early game, or mid game, I should say.
Quista's BKB isn't even up yet. This is about by the time where you want to have a BKB at the very least. This wasn't a Queen of Pain that got completely shut down. She was standing toe-to-toe with the Zeus for a good portion of the laning stage, so she still doesn't have that item, and a BKB is a better item when you get it late, but not when you get it late by necessity. So Queen of Pain is certainly struggling right now, and hell, even if she did go for an Orchid, I don't really know if that would have helped her. Like, BKB is definitely the item that you want to have when you're skirmishing like this, but that being said, it's not really going to be the end all. Giedrox is going to get jumped by Qwista. Omnislash is, well, not necessary because they had the swap, but they get the kill on the Crystal Maiden anyway. Who cares? It's a Crystal Maiden. That's kind of her job to die. In the meantime, it's going to be Qnatek to take the first tower of the second tower, and they are going to go for a little bit more. Try to force the hand of Scary Faces, where they still have the Aegis of the Faceless Void. Maybe Scary Faces take a couple more towers up towards the top, but these are not the right heroes to be up here. They need the Lycan and Jakiro, not the Juggernaut and the Queen of Pain. They'll take down the tower anyway, but it's going to be really slow, and a lot slower than it really should be for their draft as a whole.
Yeah, jump in, Echo Slam from IXO, coupled up with the Thunder God's Wrath and the Shock Dome. They'll bring down 2 easily. Abash gonna be next to fall here. He's got no magic missile. He's gonna turn and pop it, but the Enchant Totem will be there. Whirling Death, Chakram pullback. He'll get the magic missile off. Chain will finish him off. Triple kill, going the way of T-Bon. He's got 10 stacks on his Bloodstone and the full Aghanims in his stash. Second Chakram impending, and things snowballing out of control for Qnatek here. Scary Faces really on the back foot now. Lycan for Stake 21 hasn't found anything since his Vlads. Only 1,800 gold on him as the BKB comes out for Darkness of an Abyss. He's already got Mask of Madness, Maelstrom, BKB, and I don't know how they're going to kill off this level 15 Void.
And I did not see the Blink Dagger on Shaker. I was looking at top lane as they were pushing. I'm like, okay, they're going to get the tower and then fall back. And then they just died because their Shaker has a Blink Dagger. So Blink Dagger coming in big there. Of course, the follow-up was there as well with the Chakrams as well as the Zeus ultimate. And while all that was happening up on top lane, the Jakiro was getting picked off down towards the bottom. Chronosphered into Zeus bolts and all sorts of unhappiness for the Jakiro. So all across the map, Qnatek are going to take a whole bunch of leads. They also take down the tier 2 on the bottom lane while still holding control of a good amount of their own towers. They've lost 2 tier 1 towers by this point. I think the Lycan was backdooring the mid tier 1, but that's not supposed to be the plan for Scary Faces. They are definitely in desperation mode right now, especially up against the Timber Saw. Now with an Aghanim Scepter, it's like he wasn't doing enough damage to begin with, and now he's doing even more. And now especially Zeus with the Veil of Discord also doing even more damage. And man, Crystal Maiden Earthshaker Ultimate's doing a ton as well. A lot more than you would really expect from these heroes most of the time. It's going to be a rotation up to the top lane for Qnatek. It will be perfectly spotted out by a bunch of wolves, but will it be enough? They're going to catch a Shaker with an Ice Path. Kibon is here as well. Not many trees to move around with. A double Chakram through. A Bash and Shadow Razor already dead, and Shaker is still alive. Time walk in from the Faceless Void. He's going to have to turn around and we'll get back into the main fight. Going to go straight for Ekdar. Double Chakram going to annihilate the Juggernaut. Now they're going to zap through a whole bunch more. Chronosphere is going to drop. We'll catch T-Bon as well, but it doesn't really matter because Qwista doesn't really have a prayer here. He will try to blink out. Chakram forward plus Timber Chain. That's going to be a double kill for Darkness. Holy crap, Timber Saw double Chakram is ridiculous. So many heroes from Scary Faces dead, and they couldn't do anything. Like, by the time they realized that the Timber Saw was there, they were already dead.
Yeah, 15 Bloodstone charges. He's standing in a fountain for T-Bon right now. They should take the third and final tier 1 away from Scary Faces here. And when you're down in towers with the Jakiro, Lycan, or even trading evenly, I mean, that's pretty poor showing. So looks like it'll be 3 for 3 in terms of the tower score as Darkness chops this one down under Mask of Madness. He'll even find the last hit with that. He's faring over his next item, or at least components of it, and that'll be the full Mjolnir. Now for this Faceless Void, 25 minutes in, he's looking absolutely monstrous. 13k net worth, tied up with T-Bon's Timber Saw. The next closest target is Qwista at 9,200. It looks like he'll be able to time walk out and TP away for the Void. Vice Path will be there though, and Shadowway is going to scout him out briefly with the vision. Actually, perhaps he did not. And Darkness of the Abyss, no TP at this point. Chrono is down as well. He's low on mana. Ice Path gonna latch once again. And the Wave of Terror will scout him out if nothing else. He's going to try and time walk down to the southwest. He'll get Yuled up. There's the Macro Power Dual Breath as well. He'll pop the BKB and look to man up on a bash. Will he have enough damage? He does. He kills him off. Looking to go into Shadow Way as well. The Thunder God's Wrath will be there to give him vision. Ice Path is there, however, to kill him off. And if they don't land that Ice Path, he probably brings down the Juggernaut as well. IMXO rotating in with a Blink Dagger, but it'll be canceled by the Wolves here. He was looking for an Echo Slam. He whiffs it completely. And Eknark gonna get the Blade Fury off. He's gonna be able to... Oh, he will get used up by the Jakiro. Not sure why he did that, but either way, they kill off the Earthshaker. Quista looking to find something. Nice Force Staff to the high ground from Axar. He'll be able to TP out. But still 2-0, going the way of Scary Faces. A nice little set of engagements for them. And good scouting from State 21 with the Wolves. Don't know if this is enough to bring them back into the game. State 21 still pretty underfarmed on this Lycan.
So do you know in your pub games when someone's really fed and then they die and they're like, wow, it had to take 3 of you to kill me? That's pretty much the state of the game right now. Like, Faces Void, yeah, he did go down, but it required so much effort from the Scary Faces side. And man, if he actually had his BKB when he was first swapped back, that wouldn't have happened at all. He would have popped the BKB, went to town on everyone, but he was 9 seconds off of that, so his only reasonable option was to time walk into the trees, and once you start out with that, it gets really bad as Faces Void. So his positioning was probably as bad as it could be without him being stuck on a cliff or something like that. So Void stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time, yet even with that, he was able to bring someone down before he himself went down. If he, I don't know, if he was a little bit more lucky with the backtracks or with the bashing, or if he stopped to hit the healing ward, perhaps that could have been 2 kills, but who knows. Darkness of an Abyss is right now just so dangerous. Right now is the Abyss, I guess Magic card reference if anyone gets that, but he's stalking looking for kills, and if anyone from Scary Faces shows their face in the mid lane, they are going to die.
Yeah, he will get scouted out by the Wolves, so that'll stave off any aggression from him. Perhaps Eknart looks to go in with an Omni Slash here. They are aggressing onto him. Shapeshift has been popped, though, and that'll give him the sense to back out here. Not sure if he was able to see that. He only had the Radiant Ward on the high ground, so probably just some really good timing and fortunately so from Darkness of Abyss. He's able to time walk out. Shiva's picked up now by the Timbersaw, and he is fat as hell. 14.6k net worth, topping the board. Level 19, level 3 Chakram, level 3 Thunder God's Wrath, level 3 Chrono up. Only the Omni Slash and the Sonic Wave is up in terms of the level 3 ultimates for Scary Faces, and things looking scarier and scarier in their faces. Tier 2 going to be aggressed upon in the mid lane now by the full lineup of Qnatek.
Qnatek could grab the tier 2 tower, then slide down to the Roshan pit, which is going to have Roshan respawning in just a matter of seconds. Fortification will slow everything down, but Scary Faces, they're not making any trades, or they're not actually doing much of anything while this is going on. Farming up a couple of areas in the map, that's not really worthwhile when you're losing tier 2 towers like this. Qnatek, they are going to actually go back all the way and defend, so they're going to play a very slow and steady game. Don't really know if this is completely necessary. They have so much power right now that they could just go all in, and they'll probably even try to make a high ground push, but they're going to play it a little bit slower, and I don't know what they're exactly waiting for. Maybe a couple more BKBs on other heroes or something like that, but right now they are holding on to all the power, all the control of the game. They have almost complete map control. They have huge heroes on their side, and it's still not impossible for Scary Faces to come back from this. The Omni Slash now being amplified by an Aghanim Scepter it's possible to just, you know, land on a Faces Void, and then that's that. But if that doesn't happen, then Faces Void is just gonna go nuts. And the Timbersaw also, he's kind of been in the background for the past couple of minutes, but when he's actually in the foreground of the fights, man, people die really quickly. And him and Zeus, as well as the Crystal Maiden, they're up towards top, and they're waiting for someone. They will be spotted though, so never mind.
Yeah, State 21 was pinging out that the Void picked up an invisibility rune, so they are privy to that, but everyone pretty spread out here for Scary Faces, definitely vulnerable to the solo Chronosphere gank, and he's just gonna go scouting is Darkness of Abyss, level 19 Void. Full Mjolnir, he's picked up the Crystallis as well now, dishing out a ton of damage, and had exactly the start he would have wanted early on in that off lane. Was able to find even more farm than the Lycan somehow. I guess Scary Face is playing that a little too passively in the lane there. There will be a 4-man movement, was pinged out there briefly by State 21, so perhaps they are privy to at least the fact that there are some heroes present. Not sure if they know about all 4, but it looks like they will just walk into lane headlong and look to push as 5 here. They really don't have much to be worried about. With the Yules now pick up from the Zeus as well, he'll be a little more survivable, be able to get that Veil off pretty reliably and do quite a bit of damage to everyone, at least aside from Qwista and State 21, who are holding on to their BKBs.
Double BKB going to represent Scary Face's best chance at actually taking a fight right now, as Zeus's damage going to drop to pretty much 0 most of the time, and Earthshaker Crystal Maiden not going to fare much better. In fact, they're probably going to fare worse, but it's probably the best chance for Scary Faces to actually get something done right now. They're going to circle around with a bash. He still doesn't have any points to the orb, but it's going to be set up first of all on the Face's Void. He will pop the BKB, immediately gets Omni Slashed, and he will drop the Chronosphere, which will land on absolutely no one. T-Bon is actually caught by it, and he's taking quite a bit of damage. They're going to lose the Crystal Maiden first. Now T-Bon doesn't really have many places to maneuver. He's going to drop as well, as they're going to give chase. Qwista is chasing forward for the Face's Void. Time walk out from him. Zeus and Traker looks like they are a little bit slower, and they're going to be chased down. Here comes the Wolf. He's going to go straight for that Zeus. Thunder God's Wrath, drop that Desperation, and Bash going to swap himself forward from Magic. Will be dodged. Nice Echo Slam from so, and that'll be a kill on Jakiro and Benj as Darkness wants to get right back into it. He's going to turn around for Eknart, and even though you're spinning, you will not be able to resist those bashes. The Juggernaut is doomed to fall right now as Zeus is still alive, and it looks so great for Scary Faces, but once their BKBs run out, they are out of gas, even with a 0-man Chronosphere, or I guess like a -1-man Chronosphere. And an Omni Slash is focusing purely on a hero. It's just not enough.
That was literally the best engagement they could have had and have had all game long, but Qnatek able to draw it out long enough for IMXO to re-engage with that 3-man Echo, and they're able to bring down a Bash as well as Shadoway and Eknart. At least for Scary Faces, Qwista and State 21 able to extricate themselves from danger, but still, it's not going to be enough to defend at least this tier 3 at this point. There is a buyback on Eknart. A Bash is now up, so perhaps they need to be a little worried from the side of Qnatek, but Force Staff picked up on IMXO now as well. He'll be a little more survivable with the Blink and the Force Build. TP's back are from Shadowway here. He'll drop an Ice Path. It'll connect only on one, the Macropyre as well. IMXO will be able to force out if need be. Jump forward though. One big bash, and the Eul Scepter will keep up Shadowway for now, but he'll get bolted down by Axnar. BKB pop from Qwista. He'll jump ill. He'll get solo chronoed here. Swapped out by a Bash, and it looks like the Venge will be the sacrificial lamb for now. Eknart does have the Omni Slash up. He will pop it. It looks like he won't be able to bring down T-Bon though with the chain popping there. And the Earthshaker will fall to State 21. He'll have to get out though. The spin will be popped by Eknart. He'll just be bashed up, and Axnar going to be able to walk away on the Zeus. That's 4 down for Scary Bases. Taking a look at the buyback scenario, only the Queen of Pain for Qwista has it. Axnar will TP out, worried about State 21 being able to run in, but there's no shapeshift available here. They'll bring down the Rax, and that's a first lane going the way of Qnatek. They're solidifying their advantage here. 15k in net worth and experience has been generated as a lead by them, and T-Bon will be able to back out for the time being. Level 20, 14 charges still on this Bloodstone. He's got 3,100 gold in his pockets as well, and becoming ever the more dangerous on this Timbersaw, as is Darkness of an Abyss. And it looks like he picked up an item. Is it his Demon Edge? Yep, full Daedalus on the way over to the Void. Even Gedrox has picked up a Eul Scepter on this Crystal Maiden. Who is Scary Faces going to target in these next coming engagements?
They just have to hope that they're able to burst someone down. Good luck doing that with so many Eul Scepters on the field. Like, Zeus has already shown that he is just so difficult to actually land a spell on, and even if you do, you have to kill him off. Jump forward for a Jack of the Aegis. Jakiro's going to grab it. Nice play, but I don't really think he has much hope here. Does he have a Force Staff? No, he doesn't. Eul Scepter not going to do jack for him, as he's going to get bolted down. So he gets punished for his play, although he does deny the Aegis to the Qnatek side. I really don't know if that's going to matter in the grand scheme of things, just because everyone from Qnatek, they still are perfectly at fighting potential right now. CM not with the most mana, but with Eul Scepter, she is going to get right back up to full in a hurry. Timbersaw is also ready to go with him, so SFZ, they are now in a position where they're going to fight without the Jakiro. I guess they don't have to worry about a double life on Face's Void, but they couldn't even kill him off once, so killing off twice is a distant dream, and the chip damage on the tower, or I don't even know if it's chip damage, destruction of the tower is going to start. Echo Slam off to the side, is going to catch Eknart, double Chakra flying through. That's going to be death to Juggernaut instantly. Now a 2-man Chronosphere. State is dead. A Bash can't get the swap out. He's stuck in the Chronosphere as well. Qwista, he's going to try to fight it out. He will blink out of there just in time. State's going to teleport right back into a freezing field. That's never what you want to do. He wasn't even shapeshifted. He's going to die as well. GG is called, and we're going to a game 2.
Yeah, very well played to draw things out. Good early game as well. And well done to force towers against a lineup that should be pushing. Qnatek Esports taking game 1 here. This is a best of 3 guys in the lower bracket. SLTV Pro Series 11. Loser goes home. We'll be back shortly. SLTV with your game 2.